What's up YouTube, Demi here with another build guide. This is for a max block Necromancer tank character. It's designed off of a very stupid interaction involving the Valyrium Moonstone Ring, which says stun thresholds based off energy shield instead of life. So, as a life-based character, blood magic actually, I have very little energy shield. This means that if I take a small hit, say 100 damage, it's got a pretty good chance of stunning me. And so most of our spells are linked to cast when stunned, because cast when stunned says you have about a 70% chance to trigger supported spells when you are stunned or block a stunning hit. Now, as you can see, we are attack block capped and spell block capped. So whenever we block a hit, we have a 70% chance to cast, I don't know, Firestorm, Molten Shell, Magma Orb, Fireball, Freeze Pulse, Frostbolt, Arc, Desecrate, Bone Offering, Tempest Shield, Flame Dash, Ball Lightning, Vortex, Glacial Cascade, Trap Chains, Ellie, Weak, and Feeble. You got lots of options. You can literally use whatever spells you want. I just have it linked to a bunch of elemental spells because I'm using Elemental Weakness and Elemental Equilibrium and just juggling the damage types between those two. But yeah, I'll just stand here and let Kitava do his thing for a bit while we talk about the build guide. So, in order to achieve max block, there's a couple things you gotta do. The first thing is equip a shitload of reckless defenses. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, sorry, I have 7, and then I have 1 rare jewel that gives me a bunch of resistances, because I guess I needed those to be capped. Other than that, your tree is basically just life nodes, and a lot of them. As many life nodes as you can get, a lot of resistance nodes, because I don't have the best gear yet, and a little bit of life regen. You get L Equilibrium for your keystone, extra curse, blood magic, because we don't really need to use mana. Extra life here, you get 4 points for, like, what is that, 35% max life? That's like 8% a node. It's pretty fucking good. But yeah, so because we have max block and we take all of those increased crits, like the reckless defenses actually make you take more crits. Which sounds bad, until you realize that they gave us this power creep thing in the Pantheon system, and one of the Pantheons is called Solo Solaris. Solo Solaris is 6% phys reduction, there's only one enemy nearby, such as right now, 20% chance to take 50% less area damage from hits, great. But the important thing here is, take no extra damage from critical strikes if you have taken a critical strike recently. I have like a 70% increased chance to take a crit. So if they have a 5% crit chance, that goes up to like, what is that, 10% crit chance, something like that? I think that's how that scales. You basically just take crits all the time. And you can see when I take a crit, because that Consecrated Ground proc is only triggered when I take a crit from my glove enchant. So if you see that proc, that means that I took a crit. And that means for the next 4 seconds, like right there it is, I don't take extra crit damage. So it's very easy for me to just face tank things because of that. And then on your minor one, I have Soul Tukohama. This gives you phys reduction if you're standing still, and life regen if you stand still. So I just stand there and let people hit me most of the time. So I get that extra phys reduction buff, and I get the life regen buff. You just stand there and hang out, and things hit you, and then they die. Literally, the more things that hit you, the more damage that your character deals, the more you get healed actually through a couple different interactions, which we'll go over right now. So things that heal you, we have a couple things. So we have the Crown of the Pale King. This is actually, I think, fairly expensive now because it's only available through the Prophecy Chain. You don't need this, but it does heal you an extra amount. It reflects phys damage to melee attackers, and it gives you 30% of the damage that you reflect to enemies is gained as life, right? So I reflect a lot of damage. I reflect 88 phys here, I reflect 100 to 150 phys damage here, I reflect 240 to 300 phys damage here. Reckoning doesn't count as reflect. Tempest Shield, I'm not sure if it counts as reflect. Some people say it does, some people say it doesn't. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's a spell, so I don't think it reflects, but you gain 30% of that damage as life, right? That's one way we gain life. I'm also using the unique Reckoning, or sorry, the Surrender Shield, which grants you Reckoning, but it gives you 250 life when you block. That's attacks or spells. Remember, we are attack and spell block capped, so every time we block, we're gaining a whole bunch of life from all of these things. And then, additionally to all of that, we have Bone Offering. Bone Offering, with the Necromancer Ascendancy, you can actually get your offerings to affect yourself, which means that this minions recover 594 life when they block is also applied to you. So I'm gaining 600 here, 250 here, 30% of all of this reflect here, so it's like, it's around 1,000 life on block, which is a lot of life gained on hit. You can also use a rare shield. Surrenders are fairly expensive. You can just get a rare shield with a high amount of life gain on block and like life resistances. It'll do the same thing. This is just like a good option for endgame, unless you can receive a really, really good rolled rare. I think this beats out most just because there's more life gained on block. As you can see, Kitava's doing his thing this whole time. I don't really know what he's doing. Other than that, the last unique that I recommend, I guess the last two, you can get the Anvil with +1 curse or +1 max res for your end game option. Otherwise, just use the Anvil. I think +1 max res is actually better because I'm currently using 3 curses. You can see them there. LE weak, temp chains, and feeble. The temp chains is actually kind of detrimental to us because, as I said earlier, the more things that hit you, the more damage you do, the more you heal. So ideally, I think I should have a +1 max res Anvil along with a +1 max res chest, so you can achieve that 78, 77, 77% max res. Pretty solid. A little bit extra deeps. Other uniques, we talked about Valyrium, and then Advancing Fortress. This is usually like a chaos, but it gives you 15% chance to block on a weapon, which is just stupid. So with just this weapon and this shield, I'm at 45% block already. And then Bone Offering would give me 35 plus 34% spell block, which is, I'd be capped with just Bone Offering, but you can also just be capped through Reckless Defenses if your Bone Offering doesn't proc. It's totally up to you. You need at least 5 Recklesses to achieve 100% block to spell block conversion, so that you have both of them capped. And the Anvil also gives you maximum block, so you achieve 3% above 75% block, which is pretty good. What else is there? The rest of your gear is kind of up to you. Rare ring, rare belt, rare gloves. You can get Death's Doors if you don't want to have to deal with bleed. This lets you just not worry about a bleed flask, but if you don't have these, you can't afford these, just get a rare pair of boots with a lot of resistances and stats and life, whatever. If you can achieve Chaos Res cap, like if I had a better pair of like gloves, belt, and this ring, if these were all better, I would be fully resistance capped and Chaos Res capped, which means that I could just, I face tank like everything. I mean, I have 7.6k life with not the best gear. Like this life roll is pretty bad. This rifle is very bad. Like this doesn't have life. This life roll's good. My belly's max roll. If you got a rare shield, you'd have more life as well. But like, you can make it very, very tanky. This character scales very, very well with the amount of currency you dump into it. So if you got all level 21, 20 gems, you do a lot more damage. I have some of them, but not all of them. And then level 21, 20 curses. You just stand here. You just tank things. And I find this hilarious. It's very, very good in PvP because most players that if they hit you, they cause you to just vomit spells at them, which means they die. The only things that we are weak against is degeneration effects. If you're not being hit, you're not being healed. Degens don't hit, so if somebody's using Scorching Ray or Blight or something along those lines, you don't get to heal as much. Like I have a decent amount of life regen, but I don't heal, so it's like it's a little bit weird if you don't get hit. But as you can see, these guys, the more things that hit us, the more damage that we deal. And it's great. So our offense is all of these cast when stun spells or cast when damage taken spells. I use cast when damage taken for the spells that I really, really want to trigger, and I don't want to like not have them trigger. So like Tempest Shield is one of those, Desecrate, Bone Offering, so we always have those up. And then our curses are also cast when damage taken because I want those to guaranteed proc when I take the damage. Everything else, the spells, like the ones that we want to just vomit, those are on cast when stunned because you can see them proccing. They proc pretty often. I'm just standing here, like I'm not doing anything. Everything is totally automated. And our offense comes from those spells and then L Equilibrium combined with LE Weakness. L Equilibrium gives enemies negative 50% resistance to other elements if you hit them with one element. So say if I hit with fire, they gain 25% fire res, but they get negative 50 cold and negative 50 lightning. I'm using a lot of lightning, cold, lightning, cold, like all of these. Those are cold and lightning spells, and my Tempest Shield is of course lightning. But in my main 6-link, I'm focused primarily on fire spells. So I have Molten Shell, Firestorm, Fireball, Magma Orb with Fire Pen. So this means that I give enemies negative 50 plus negative 45% fire res if I hit with any of these, and so that would be negative 90% res. And then I'd hit them with fire spells, that then get 35% fire penetration. So I'm reducing their resistances to usually negative, and then I'm also penetrating past that, which acts as a more multiplier. Or if they aren't getting resisted or getting reduced by the curses, because they have so much overcap res, these numbers, then the curses don't do anything, but I can still penetrate through their 75% res with the fire pen. So it's pretty solid. But yeah, their resistances just juggle constantly. You can actually see it here, like he's vulnerable to fire cold right now. And then if he hits me, come on dude, you can do it. Maybe if I stand on top of him. Vulnerable to cold and lightning. Like every time a spell hits, it swaps back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And every time you hit them, they get juggled resistance wise. You get to deal more damage on some spells, less damage on the others. It's just like this ongoing barrage of damage to them, and it's hilarious. And as I said before, you can use whatever spells you want. I've just chosen the ones that I think look the best or deal the most damage per hit. Since you just cast as many as possible, they don't have that many supports, the higher base damage spells do a little bit better. The rest of your ascendancy, I guess, really doesn't matter that much. Like, this gives you your offering skills effect, that's great. A little bit of skill effect duration, that scales your bone offering duration, tempest shield duration, your vortex, frost bomb, like that sort of stuff. Spirit Eater gives you damage if you consumed a corpse recently, so every time our Desecrate Bone Offering procs, we get that 40% damage increase. And then these give you damage while affected by auras you cast. We don't have any auras anymore, so this actually doesn't help us at all. If you were to use non-blood magic and have auras, like you could use Arctic Armor, Purities, what else would give you some damage? I guess you put Curses on Blasphemy if you really wanted to. This would give you some extra resistances, but we don't have auras anymore, so it doesn't really do anything for us. And then these just give us Chaos Res. It's 21% Chaos Res with 2 points, and a little bit extra Chaos damage if you wanted to use Essence Drain or Wither, Blight, whatever. You can actually just take off your chest piece and use a, your 6-link chest. And you could just throw in like a 6-link Scorching Ray, a 6-link Blight, like it doesn't matter. If you want to use the spells that you self-cast here, you are more than welcome to, but I made this to be an AFK type character, so I don't use that. Another thing, flasks. Flasks are pretty important. I'm using all Avengers flasks, because remember, we take increased crit strikes, so if I were to use these... Oh, he actually died. That's funny. If I use my flasks, and things hit me and crit me, I actually get flash chargers back. So this gives us like a pseudo flask finder type effect thing, where I can just sit here and spam flask, and as long as things keep hitting me, I will keep getting my flash charges back. Which sounds kind of broken when you think about it, because I have 4 elemental type flasks, or I guess 3 elemental, 1 chaos. So when I use these, my max res goes up to 83, 82, 82, 8, and 73% chaos res. And that's just from things hitting me. Like, let's see. I need something that, like, doesn't die. I guess I didn't kill that many things. You can actually see them recharging when things hit me, which is really, really good for, like, a longer term fight. If you're not able to actually kill anything, whenever anything hits you, you're going to get charges back. So you can just run around and just panic flask repeatedly, and, like, your flask will pretty much always be full, especially in PvP when there's not enemies to kill. Your flask will just be filled up because people are attacking you. Like, if you have a crit build attacking you, you're going to be full flask instantly all the time, because you're Pantheon, you're not going to be taking any damage from those crits, any extra damage. You still take the base damage, but that's not a big deal. I love this music. So yeah, all of my flasks are Avengers, and I'm trying to get immunity to everything on them, right? So I have Curse immunity, I have Poison immunity, I have Shock immunity, I have Ignite immunity, and my boots can be Bleed immunity. If you don't have the boots, you can just put Bleed immunity here, but I'm using a maximum resistance flask, or sorry, not maximum, elemental resistance flask, just to get a little bit extra defense. If this flask is actually ticking, that means I get the 25% Ellie res. It actually goes up to 30%, I believe, so that gives me more resistances here. And then with all of my flasks up, if I was taking damage, this would be like 170, 150, 150. Pretty good overcap for Ellie weak or whatever. There's not enough enemies that like survive to kill. I wanted like a pile of enemies that can't die to me, but that doesn't seem to happen. As you can see, I'm just walking through enemies. If literally anything touches me, they take damage and die. Which I think is hilarious. Like, this character is just my style of play at this point. I'm kind of getting known for being an AFK type player. and cast when damage taken, cast when stun builds. Like this is exactly what I live for in this game. This game is a sandbox, and this build is one of those things that it shouldn't be possible, but it is, and I think it's fucking amazing. So if you guys enjoy build guides like this, let me know, leave a comment, leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel. I post a new video every day. I also stream on Twitch at least 3 times a week if you're interested. There's all the links for that stuff is in the description below. And of course, if you enjoy all of our content here on the channel, there is a link to a Patreon in the description below if you want to consider supporting me, as without that help I can't keep doing this forever. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, or sorry, I guess I will see you in the next video. That'll be Demi out.